In terms of the budget, certainly we're going to have a lot of conversations over the next 2 weeks about a lot of different things. From our perspective, from the Assembly Republican Conference, there's many topics to talk about, but some in particular that I think we need to talk more about, and we will through the General Conference Committee and also through the various budget committees. And there's no particular order here, but first we've done a lot of discussion, there's been a lot of talk, there's been a lot of media reports about education. And certainly I think one of the biggest topics in this state right now is Common Core. And I think that as part of this budget process, I think we need to bring some resolution to the anxiety to our students, to our families, to our teachers all across the state, and the school administrators as well, to try to come up with a solution to fix what was obviously a terrible rollout of trying to improve educational standards in the state. And I also think there's been an overabundance of conversation about New York City and the mayor's agenda in terms of all the conversation about UPK and charter schools. There has not yet been enough discussion, I think, when we're looking around statewide for all of our schools throughout the state in terms of the help that they need. And certainly the Gap Elimination Aid is one of those topics. So when we're having all of these conversations, I think one of the things we have to make sure we keep foremost in our mind that we need to look out for each and every child in this state and not just focus on the mayor's agenda in New York City and the New York City educational needs, especially when it comes to money. There's a lot of conversations yet to be had in terms of unfunded mandates, which I don't believe the governors or the two majorities' budgets really have addressed whatsoever. And when we talk about mandate relief, we're talking about cost relief, actually reducing costs, which will reduce the need for tax revenue. Certainly looking at some of the proposals, our local roads throughout the state, roads and bridges, we've had a really tough winter, and I think we need to look at increasing the CHIPS funding for our local municipalities all across the state. Certainly our libraries, again, one of a key part of our educational support system for our communities. I think the funding is inadequate there as well. And then from the big picture in terms of business, we still rank, I think it's either 48th, 49th in the worst business climate in the state. So I would certainly say that I don't think we've done everything we can do to actually create jobs in New York State, and I think we need to have more conversation about not just business in general, small business in particular, the burdens that they face all along the way, and not just from a financial perspective, from a regulatory environment, which again is still not conducive to businesses wanting to locate here. And we talk about 18A for the last 3 years. Our conference has put forth budget amendments to eliminate 18A altogether, not just for consumers, but for businesses as well. Again, it's an energy tax that puts our businesses in not in a fair competitive light all across the state. And if we want to, and I'll finish up here in terms of talking about campaign finance reform or campaign reform, I think first and foremost we should focus on an ethics package. We should definitely not use taxpayer dollars for any reform to the system, and there's a lot more work to be done on that topic before we just charge ahead and just say we're going to have the taxpayers pay for political campaigns across the state, because I think if you talk to the average taxpayer, they're not interested in having their hard-earned money go to electing people in office. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss over the next couple weeks, and certainly we'll be ready, willing, and able to do so accordingly. Thank you.